Welcome back. You're still live on GMG Plus. We're live on Metro TV. My guest has been named one of the 14 most inspiring young people in our country, and that's quite an honor. He's also the CEO of Irbard Securities, and he's an international security expert and commentator on various TV platforms. I'd like to welcome to our studio Irbard Ibrahim, CEO of Irbard Securities.
Okay, Ken, how are you?
Good morning, sir.
Thank you so much. I've been involved with this channel for about 6 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
But with GMG Plus, I think this is the sexiest has ever been. So kudos to you and the team players. And I hope that this program becomes the best in the country.
You love it here? Oh, of course, yes. Yeah. You love it here. This could become your new home over here.
Yes, it's interested, and I like it.
When did you realize that you had a skill for international security and diplomacy?
Thank you so much. It's a very good question. When I started doing this, people thought I was some spoiled kid who had been living outside the country for so long. But of course, I wasn't born into a family of big business. I wasn't born into a family of academics. I wasn't also born into a royal family like you. Those 3 generational opportunities put you on a pedestal to succeed in your career in Ghana. In my case, it wasn't. My parents are not illiterate. My parents don't read English.
Okay.
Yes. So I started off as a voracious reader.
Okay.
So while in high school, Pokwari school,
okay,
I took a liking to reading. So I would read just anything with an inscription. So that built my repertoire of vocabulary. So by general consensus, colleagues on campus thought I spoke well. So I needed to build on that. Beyond English, I learned French and I learned Arabic. And to operate within the international space, being multilingual gives you an added advantage.
Yeah.
So I ended up working for Middle Eastern interests in Africa. I would travel widely, interpret for heads of state.
How many languages do you speak now?
I speak, fundamentally, I would say I speak 2 strong international languages, English and Arabic. The French has gone stale because while...
Well, you speak good Arabic.
Yeah, I do.
That's amazing.
Yes.
You started engaging the media way back in school.
Yes, I did.
Did you already saw a future in you being a security expert even when you were in school?
I was involved with Radio Universe, and everybody you know who does media on a big scale started with
somewhere.
Radio Universe. I did an engineering course for 2 years in Legon, and I quit and did PR for my first degree. For those 2 years, I was hosting a program on Radio Universe. So a guy got to know me. He was called Rabiu Al Hassan. So he told Bernard Avle of City FM that I was good. So Bernard and I met at the World Trade Center and said, okay, well, the Arab Spring had happened, so he wanted to give me a gig. So I would explain things from a very unique perspective.
Okay.
And when I had that interview, it was a very good interview. And then I was involved with News TV3, News at 10. So from there, Joy TV,
your career started there.
Then Voice of America, BBC, Radio France International.
In your story, the US identified your talent and then took you out for the Visitors Leadership Program. Tell me about that program quickly.
Many people discuss security, but I am heavier on international security than I am on domestic security. And because I understand the modus operandi of militant organizations across the world, the Americans were very interested. I had to meet the boogeyman in charge of American interests in West Africa. Some actually had to fly in, and the Canadians as well. Even though the Canadians didn't take me to Canada for training, the Americans did. So I did something in the area of conflict resolution. And we've been, getting stronger and stronger ever since. I believe that Africa can only progress when we have a very conducive, enabling environment. And prosperity can only happen when there is stability. So therefore, I do peace building, not only in Ghana, but in other parts of the continent.
Your story has 2 pillars, basically, security and Islam. You see yourself as an Islamic cleric.
Yes.
Are you a very religious person?
I'm not ultra-religious, but I try my best to be God-conscious. Because, of course, we've seen very prominent people.
You see yourself as an authority when it comes to Islam?
I do.
Why
see
so?
That is why on Fridays sometimes I pop up here and then speak to the nation on some religious issues. I think I understand the exigencies of the scripture. I'm able to interpret, and then I'm able to, I understand the nuances of religion, and I come across as quite, versatile. I'm the type you can call a cobbler or a carpenter for the rest of my life. I won't accept that. If you call me a TV personality, just like I think you are caging or boxing me. So I want to do a little of everything before I die.
What inspires you?
I'm inspired by religion. Okay. I'm inspired by patriotism. I love Ghana so much. That is why I do a lot of volunteer work. I'm sure you've heard of Operation Search for Common Ground.
Yeah.
Engage all the political parties so that we can have a long-term strategy for the development of Ghana, rather than the hiccupy, knee-jerk policies we implement just to win elections.
What is the vision of Irbard Security?
Irbard Security Consult invests to make Ghana more secure and prosperous.
Okay.
That's why on the Men's Gold issue, we are providing free clinical support to victims of that Ponzi scheme. And believe it or not, within the next 2 or 3 months, we'll begin to hear cases of, suicide, because early signs of depression are beginning to show.
Okay. So you have a center that's giving psychological and financial help to clients of the embattled Men's Gold.
Yes.
What is your interest in this Men's Gold company?
I never saved with Men's Gold, I never met NAM1. Sometimes when there is a crisis situation and I come in, some people think I'm a beneficiary of the goodies that would have been accumulated. I speak for Kwesi Antechi. Some people think, okay, you are not a football person. Maybe Kwesi Antechi was giving you money. But I believe the man has not been treated fairly. So Men's Gold is a crisis. It's a national crisis. And therefore, you need level-headed people who didn't benefit from the scheme. People who are not into politics, because we are politicizing the issue.
Let me backtrack a bit. You think Nyantechi wasn't treated fairly?
He wasn't.
How so?
I'm into security, and in fact I engage not only Ghana's intelligence agencies, I do the same for other countries. To invite Ken to Dubai, and then while you are unaware, I fit a secret camera somewhere, then I lure you with money, then I disgrace you just like that. I don't think it's a good methodology. I think the bone of contention or debate was for him to take the money, right? Can you resist $10 million if I gave you $10 million after this show and recorded you? No, well, if it's not according to principle, I would not take it. Are you sure? So it was a matter of principle. And what nomenclature was given that money? Shopping money. So, okay, so obviously the country saw Nyantechi taking money in a bag. Yes, shopping money. This is what the whole country was concerned about. What he took was shopping money. Okay, what he took was shopping money. But he took it, and then obviously there's rot in the GFA, and there are a lot of issues that came up as a result of bribery and corruption. No, those who investigated him, have you heard of the rot in their own outfit? No, let's just stick to Nyantechi for a bit, because I don't think I agree with the fact that you say he has been treated unfairly. He wasn't treated fairly. And I believe that history will, judge, posterity will judge whether we took a good decision. There are no angels anywhere, Ken. Yes, and the normalization committee is struggling to even normalize itself. Okay, so on the Men's Gold issue, what kind of psychological help and financial help are you giving to this these customers who have obviously lost their monies in a Ponzi scheme? We are in touch with GUTA and Ghana Union of Traders Association. White collar workers like you see money after 30 days of work, and the traders see money every day. So there was a greater appetite and temptation to invest with Men's Gold, and some have invested to the tune of 100K, and we need to start working. Yeah. Yeah, and the list I have, if I share the list with the world, you'll be shocked how much money has sunk. Are there some prominent people on that list? Yeah, there are.
Can you give us a few?
No, I can't do that, obviously.
Well, the rumors were that some prominent ex-presidents and all were on it.
There's strict confidentiality. There's strict confidentiality in what we do because we want people to feel comfortable. And I believe that when someone is bereaved, you go and commiserate with the person, not because you can bring back the dead. But because you want to soothe the person. So this psychological help will soothe people. And the monies are not coming back anyway. Let's tell people the blunt truth. The guy got himself a private jet and he was driving in a fleet of Land Cruisers. He wasted the money. He and his friends wasted the money. So you think the money is not coming back? No, I'm sorry to say. That is why we don't give legal aid. We know, okay, you've made an investment. Warren Buffett ever suffered investment losses. Donald Trump has ever suffered investment losses. Bill Gates has ever. We want to prepare you to pick up the pieces. Shut this dark chapter in your life and open a new one.
I was going to ask you about the money not coming back because how do I call it? A malam who was on the program here
forget malams. I don't
said that the 40% might come back. So
I don't believe in
that's not your belief at all.
I don't believe in those. And there is no portion of the Quran that says you can tell the future. I don't believe. I'm an empirical person based upon the evidence and the history of Ponzi schemes. Such monies don't really come.
So the money is not coming back?
No money.
Okay, let's move on. Recent killings, kidnappings, and of course stabbings in our country. You're quoted on Ghana Web as saying that this may be as a result of our neighbors, infiltration of people from neighboring countries in our region. What informs this?
I lecture on a course, and that creates a nexus between migration and national security. And of course, for so long, when we go to Abuja, we discuss ECOWAS protocols on the free movement of persons and goods. But when you are an oasis of stability in a turbulent region like ours, you can't lose your guard. Togo is unstable. A lot of Togolese youth have crossed the border into the country, many of them unskilled. They are going to add up to our criminal record as a country. And Nigerians come here. Some are really fine people, others aren't. And then they are Burkina based. Burkina Faso is not stable since Blaise Compaoré was toppled. And then, of course, La Côte d'Ivoire has a history of war. And so when you talk to immigration officers, they are ill-equipped. They have no idea where these people are coming from, and there is no effort at reintegrating people. It was for a reason we named the Foreign Affairs Ministry and reintegration, regional reintegration. And so when you travel to other countries, you have a 6-month course that assimilates you, understand the culture of the people, understand the working environment. Let's not concentrate too much on the fact that the person has paid his resident permit or work permit, so that is it. Does the person have a criminal record? Ghana has become a leaking bucket.
So everybody's coming through without proper checks.
So I think our youth are becoming more brutal, more ferocious in their crimes.
You also said that Ghanaian youth are not known for this kind of behavior.
We aren't. Yes, and I belong to that youth, age bracket. We aren't. The burgeoning brutality we are seeing is a bit alien to us. So I think that is where we need to begin from. Let's have controls on migration. Donald Trump feels cocaine crosses the Mexican border into the U.S. So he wants to seal off the border. That is how seriously people take their national security.
We don't take our border security that seriously,
at all.
Obviously.
There are 42, approved and unapproved entry points when you enter Ghana terrestrially. So that is too much.
Too much, 42.
Yes, so I believe we need to tighten the noose around our immigration regime, so we get the good guys coming here rather than the bad guys.
I think every Ghanaian agrees to that.
Yes.
Obviously. Yes. So, you're very young.
Yes, I am. And not too young. I turn 32 tomorrow. You are a very handsome guy. I want to guess you are 35.
Tomorrow is your birthday.
I turn 32 tomorrow, God willing.
That's quite amazing.
So I'm not that young.
Yeah, but I mean relatively.
Relatively, because
do you think people
early.
Do you think many people undermine your expertise because of your age?
Yeah, people bully me. I wouldn't want to spill the beans. I did an analysis a few years ago on Zimbabwe. One of the so-called senior people He met me in the embassy, and he said I said this and that about Robert Mugabe. He threatened to have me fired. So we live in a country where the old don't believe in grooming the young. And I don't understand why one person can speak on everything between archaeology and zoology. We should have expertise in certain areas. So
you think that our country doesn't accept younger people excelling in certain fields?
No, but I think the general masses of the Ghanaian people have been quite warm.
They've been kind to you.
And of course, in 2016, because it was an election year.
Yeah, 2016 was quite hot for you.
Very
Mustafa, what was his name?
The Honorable Minister. Said, you were around in 2016.
Said that you're roadside international relations expert.
Yes, of course. And he's one of my best friends today. And
So
you can imagine how
relationships
evolve. And so therefore, yes, I think people get bullied in this country because they have an infantile face or because they are young. But your lady read something on Mark Zuckerberg, a young man who has revolutionized the digitization of information. So you don't have to be Methuselah before you make the needed impact.
You don't have to be Methuselah. That's interesting. Yes. Finally, let's touch on one of the people who inspires you, Dr. Vladimir Entry-Danso. What's the relationship, and how did he mentor you through? You know,
when I started doing analysis on international relations, some people were quite cold. But Dr. Vladimir Entry-Danso realized that there was a breath of fresh air, a young person who really understood the Middle East. We would sit as co-panelists, and he never looked down upon me. He's not taught me in class before. During my days at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, where I did my master's, Dr. Kwesi lectured me. These are very fine people, and I think the country should engage them the more so that they help with the stability and the long-term development of the Republic of Ghana.
Absolutely. Many thanks to you.
You're most welcome. Good to see you, sir.
This was exciting. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
So yes, that was Irbard Ibrahim, a young international security expert. You don't have to be Methuselah to achieve things in life. That's a great takeaway for everybody. You're still live on GMG Plus. My name is King. Up next, Jackie with a pretty exciting interview about sexuality. You don't want to miss that.